Hi and welcome to Debt Tale. This is Rebecca Bautista, and today we're going to be talking about some budget considerations when you have a car. So let's get started. So whether you bought your car out in cash, you financed it, meaning you're making payments, or you leased it, there are more costs associated with the car than just the initial payments. So the first one, and the one that's most commonly talked about, is car maintenance, which can include a whole plethora of things from oil changes, bulbs changing, there are tire rotations, etc. Obviously, as you put more mileage on your car, then if you are following the manufacturer's guidelines for servicing, the more mileage on your car, the more bigger services you will have to do. So bigger services include belts, chains, service to your engine, etc. Now, for the most part, any type of repair done at a car dealership tends to be more expensive than being done at a local mechanic. Even better, if you have a mechanic as a friend, then sometimes you can get an even bigger deal. Now, some people like to go to a car dealership because there is quote unquote better records, but also that you would get manufacturer parts, so original parts, instead of buying aftermarket parts. Another thing is that you can actually learn to DIY some of the repairs yourself, which can save you money and also give you new skills, which is something that can be desirable and also is generally fun. Personally, we have dealt with bad alternators, spark plugs, batteries, etc., to the point that I had my husband and some friends get together and learn how to do these things by watching some YouTube videos, by talking to others who have experience. And hey, if you're local to Clarksville and would like a new friend, hey, hit me up, because I am for sure always happy to learn new things, and that really includes both car maintenance but other things in general. And I could teach you stuff about personal finance and behavior change. Another recurring charge is, can you guess it? Gas. And as we know, depending on what's going on, gas can fluctuate really high to really low, depending on oil shortages, stockpiling, pipes or breaking, all sorts of fun things, and of course natural disasters. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to this. Also, gas can vary depending on where in the state you are or in different states. So sometimes if you are making large commutes and you can plan, you can always go and find a cheaper gas station. One helpful app, website, etc. that I know is beneficial is called Gas Buddy, and you can go put in your zip code and it usually gives you the prices of the different local gas stations, and therefore you can help decide whether or not you want to save by going to one that might be a little further away, or if the one that you're going to is generally helpful. Also, things like Costco, Sam's Club, they generally also have pumps. Kroger does too, and that can sometimes save you a little bit more if you are a member. Next is car insurance, which I hope you're paying for, even if it's just liability, because it is required in most states, and also if you have an accident, you really should have it. Now, liability will cover the damages that your car does to others, but not cover your car or your damages for the most part. So that's why it's cheaper to just have liability. Full coverage though will cover and pay for your car if it gets stolen, if it gets completely totaled, then your insurance policy will cover the amount that the car was valued just prior to the accident. So that's something to consider if you don't already squirrel away money to pay for the next car. And it's also something to consider if the car you are currently driving is just a beater and not worth a lot of money, then you might not want to pay for full coverage. So think and weigh your options. Another thing with car insurance, as with generally all insurances, your amount, so the premium that you pay, can also fluctuate. This can happen due to others. This could happen due to claims that you put on your own insurance policy. In general, because of the pandemic, insurance premiums were lower, and now everyone's back to driving, and so there's an increase in accidents, and therefore a lot of people were surprised to find out that at renewal their premiums were going up. Another thing is that you can alter your premium by altering the deductible, which is the max amount that you are paying in order to then have the insurance cover the rest. The higher the deductible, then the lower the premium will be, but then that means in case of the accident you will have a higher amount of money you have to put up front. So for those who can afford to do $1,000 to $2,000, you can put that as your deductible instead of doing a low deductible of like $500. And that way, the next time that you have an accident, your premium will be lower, but you will be paying that $2,000 to $1,000 deductible. That's just another way to kind of fix where your premiums are. And I'm also really sorry with car insurance that if you are a young driver or a person who has a history of accidents or tickets, generally it will be more expensive for you. Car registration, well, depending on where you live, this could be kind of expensive, and it's usually a yearly expense. So that's something to consider, because in order for your car to be legally drivable on the streets, it needs to be registered, which is just a fancy way of saying that if you were getting into an accident, your car has a license plate and it is tied to your information. Or for some, there's like those speeding camera traps where it takes a picture of your license plate. They will be able to pull up the car registration and know, oh, this license plate belongs to this person, and that's how they send you the ticket. Parking. So I want to mention this because not a lot of people think about this, but if you are in a living situation in which you don't have free parking, then you have to pay for parking. So this could be paying at a garage, this could be paying monthly for a set spot. For some who are commuting, this could also just be for parking your car at a train station or parking it at a parking lot that is close to your job because street parking is not available. And these are things that some people forget to consider and then are surprised after buying the car thinking, oh, it's gonna save me so much money and time on commuting, that they don't realize that the parking wasn't included, and bam, now it's not as feasible. Tolls. So these are those fun little state roads and highways that you get to pay for utilizing. Now, some states have where you can get a transponder and you put that on top of your car and you pay money towards that, and the transponder will give you a slight discount, as well as allow you to use the transponder across different states that have toll roads. Another benefit is that generally you do not have to go and spend more time waiting. Certain toll booths have cash lines versus like an easy pass line where you would just go, it scans the transponder, and then you can keep going. Other places you have to stop, wait a little bit, then go. And for cash lines, you just have to wait online till you find an attendant and then pay them. Now, a lot of toll places are moving more towards a cashless system, so requiring people to have the transponders. And if you don't have the transponders, they have cameras that take a picture of your license plate and then they bill you, which is generally more expensive and also takes a while to reach you. And so it could be a pain in the butt. A lot of times I recommend just getting the transponder and calculating that into your budgeting for, hey, to go to work, I'm gonna go through this toll, or certain days I go through this toll, etc. So just because my husband mentioned this, I also want to add to the list car modifications. If you're not happy with certain stock options in your car, then you can go and take parts out and exchange it for other off-market parts. So for example, if you have a car that doesn't have a touchscreen, you can change the dash to include a touchscreen. There are other modifications like tires, rims. I don't know, I'm not really a car person in that regard, but they can be quite pricey, and so that's something you want to keep in mind. And of course, as I stated before, in general, it's cheaper if you have friends who know how to do it, as well as if you have connections in terms of getting supplies at a discounted rate. Last but not least is, again, repairs. So different from car maintenance, this is stuff that happens for when you break something, or a nail pops your tire, or you got into an accident and you don't want to pay insurance and file a claim, etc. These will generally be on your dime. You can always price shop for them. Hopefully your car is still in a state that you can continue driving it before getting the repair. Those are just some considerations for things that may need to be added to your budget in terms of owning and operating a vehicle. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. As always, more than happy to help, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!